Greetings, gentlemen. I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year of our Lord 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I am here to help you solve some of your problems with the slaves. I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. And I can guarantee every one of you, if installed correctly, will control your slaves for at least 300 years. My method is simple. What you just heard is an excerpt from a speech given by a man named William Willie Lynch. Willie Lynch owned slaves in Haiti and came to America at the request of slave owners. His mission? To implement a plan that would physically and psychologically break down the African slaves. Today, I'd like to explore the effects of a particular section he titled, The Breaking Process of the African Woman. First, I'd like to go over what exactly was Willie Lynch's plan. Second, fast forward to current times and show how the ramifications still play out. And lastly, elaborate on why this is important to me. The breaking process of the African woman was designed to improve economics. Willie Lynch, like many slave owners, was concerned with revenue and profit, but still made time to beat and rape female slaves. In the breaking process, Lynch outlines, as cited on finalcall.com, May 22nd, 2009, the following. Test her in every way, for she is the most important factor for good economics. If she should show any signs of resistance to submitting completely to your will, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip to extract that last bit of bitch out of her. Take care not to kill her, for in doing so, you spoil good economics. As if being beaten and raped wasn't enough. After breeding occurred, any children the female bore were kept at bay. Here, we have a picture of a slave woman currently enduring the breaking process. Note, the child on her lap is not her own. Lynch details that the mother must raise her child to be fearful of the slave master, thus creating a more submissive and dependent slave. Females were allowed to look after the master's children while their own was in the fields, getting acclimated to slave life. This, they believed, made her a more efficient workhorse. Although Lynch came to America, his doctrine was known the world around and set out to improve the economics not just of the plantation, but also those in the entertainment sector. In the year 1810, Piccadilly Street, London, one could find a South African woman by the name of Sarah Bartman being prepared for her nightly act in the freak show. According to Johns Hopkins magazine, Dr. Alexander Dunlop and showman Hendrik Caesar brought Bartman to London to improve their own economics. The media that they chose to use was a poster that looked like this. Nightly, Bartman, adorned as such, was paraded around the stage, while onlookers paid about 2 shillings, which equates to $8 in current society, to marvel at her full breast and large posterior. But wait, if you act now, they'll throw in a stick that you can use to poke her and examine her labia to see if that too is as pronounced as her other extremities. So there you have it, the physical and psychological breakdown of these women. Now mind you, in the 18th and 19th century, media did not consist of television and radio, but rather visual performing arts and things like reading aloud to a large group. So let's talk about what's happening today in our society 300 years later. Black women and the world around them are receiving poor representations of what black women truly are. Through our form of media, the internet, one can type in the phrase, typical black woman, and the Google will furnish the following. Now, as I scan the audience, I see an array of beautiful black women who, despite the complexion of their skin, have very minimal resemblance to this image. In the name of good economics, actors like Tyler Perry and Eddie Murphy adorn fat suits to portray black women as the image Google says. While still perpetuating the image like Sarah Bartman, that black women should be seen for their large bottoms, full breasts, and should be viewed as hypersexual and primitive. In our voyeuristic society, reality TV, social media, and pop culture all play up these stereotypes in a fashion that makes them seem attractive. The network named VH1 receives astronomical ratings in association with their reality shows while primarily casting black women. Since airing, Flavor of Love, which consists of a dozen or so women vying for the attention of ex-rapper Flavor Flav, premiered with a 3.3 million viewer rating, an all-time high for the network, according to realitytvshow.com, August 2006. The success sparked an idea to exploit the growing trend, and new shows like Basketball Wives and Love and Hip Hop were created. Although still predominantly employing black women, VH1 changes the formula. No longer will you see these women clamoring over the has-been musician, but rather attached to high-profile men through financial ties. Ironically, the executive producer of these shows is a woman by the name of Mona Scott. Mona Scott is an educated woman. Mona Scott is a financially independent woman. Mona Scott is a black woman. It can be mind-boggling when trying to understand how a woman who fought so hard for her education and fought so hard to be financially independent and is herself a woman of color could depict others in a light that is detrimental to their progression. Black and Married with Kids, August 2006 asks, where are the doctors, attorneys, teachers, singers? Heck, where are the women of substance on VH1? That's an idea of the growth that we've made from 1712 to 2012. Now let me explain why I am sharing this today. My grandmother fought for civil rights. During the Chicago Freedom Movement, you can find a very pregnant woman by the name of Hetty Perry marching in the streets. Hetty Perry is my grandmother. The child within her, my mother. And the man leading that march, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You see, it is embedded in my genetic makeup to advocate for the black community, and I use my voice to do so. In addition, I am a mother of 2 sons and a daughter, and I intend to raise my children to be autonomous and to rebel against the guarantee that they can and will be controlled for 300 years or any duration of time for that matter. However, the most obvious reason is that I am a black woman. And when it comes time for someone to form an opinion of me, it'll be one that is derived from my words, my actions, not those being perpetuated on television. Today, I have shared with you the plan behind the breaking process of the African woman. I started by dissecting the Willie Lynch method, followed by a quick snapshot of where we are today, and lastly, why I stand before you. Now, as we enter February, the month of Black History Month, let us make a valiant effort to change the next 300 years.